Welcome. Have a look at this magical place we're at today. I hope you can see it. Isn't that wonderful? Today's video will be about a topic I see warbling around on the internet a lot right now. It's kind of become like a trend saying, or like a quote that's just very trendy to say, and a catchy phrase for all of the videos. It's choose your heart. Choose your heart. I think there is a very basic truth about the message of all these videos, being you can choose your heart, you can choose, like, being unfulfilled, unsatisfied because you didn't catch your dream is very hard. Putting in the work, putting in the effort to actually get to your dream is very hard as well. So choose wisely. That's the message, basically. I think there is some truth about this. It's not totally wrong. I am just very unsatisfied with it because it scratches on the very surface. It doesn't go deep at all, because this complex topic of hardship is not easy at all. Many people struggle with it a lot, me included, because it's very hard to decipher which heart is still bearable, which heart is a good price for whatever you want to achieve. So, alongside this very basic description of choosing your heart, there are two truths, or part truths, in this community as well. We have the spiritual community, where you often hear that if anything hard occurs, anything challenging, you're probably on the wrong path, because as soon as you do whatever you're meant to do, as soon as you do what really truly brings you pleasure, everything just flows, everything just falls into place, and you are so full of it that it just bubbles over like the brim of your cauldron and just sparkles into the world and all of that. So when something is hard, it is not what you're destined to do. This is wrong. This is just wrong. Because hardship is an integral part of life. Whether what you're doing is hard or not is also not only influenced by the very thing you're doing, it can also be influenced by your personal energy level. That is, for example, low because things in your personal life have happened that really take away all of your energy, whatever. It can be so many things that make what you're doing hard, even though it is the right thing for you to do. Neglecting hardship, neglecting pain and challenge, is neglecting an essential part of life. It is equally important and equally true to life as happiness and joy and fulfillment is. One cannot exist without the other. It's a polarity, and our human experience is to experience both sides of this spectrum. So neglecting it would be neglecting life, essentially, and that is quite equal to the state of death. So I don't think there's a lot of truth in this mindset, and I don't think it's a healthy mindset for people to have. On the other hand, we have this very pushy, energetic statement in the realm of CEOs and doers and active people and all of that, who are frequently saying if it's not hard, you can take more of that. There's the saying if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, or something like this. And essentially they're saying if it's not hard, that means you haven't reached your limit. That means you can simply put more on your plate and do more and achieve more and so on. But the problem with this is that it is, in a way, out of touch with the goal itself. It neglects what your goal is. It neglects how you want to achieve it. It is focusing on purely achieving more in whatever way. So that is completely out of touch with the soul, I think, which is the kind of like the map for what you want to do with your life, where all your dreams and visions are, and you want to stay in touch with that, to like truly dedicate every single smallest, tiniest step to the essence of what that is. And it might not always be to achieve more, to do more, to be more stressed and more radical and more extreme in what you're doing, and do it all and do it quick and best if now. So that might not be the way of whatever you want to achieve for your soul. It might not be the correct way in this phase of life, because your body, your mind craves something different, a different approach to make you more aligned with your goal, all of these things in your soul, but pushing over it, you will never get this guidance from within. So both of these statements, both of these sides of hardship is not good to hardship is necessary, they both hold like a grain of truth, but in the way they present themselves are completely away from what reality is, because our reality in this time and space is so immensely complex. It can never be filtered through like such a simple truth that is so one-dimensional. So what I think the great truth happens where these two kind of meet. And this is the concept that I want to share with you today, because I think there are two types of hardships. Not only, there are millions of different hardships, but they all can be categorized in two types of feelings almost. What you hear in the background is my dog having the greatest time. I don't know if you can see her sometimes. So it is the first type of hardship. It feels horrible. It tears at your soul. It feels like it rips you apart. It splits you in two. It splits you in 1,000 pieces perhaps. It really suffocates you. It makes you feel like your heart is not getting enough air to breathe, or I don't know. It feels like it's really pulling at your whole being. It's not just unpleasant, it's existential, and you feel like you have to neglect, abandon, leave behind some part of yourself, neglect a need, a dream, whatever, in order to keep up with whatever it is that puts this great hardship on you. This is the hardship that we don't want, and I think this is the type of hardship that maybe these spiritual teachings refer to when they tell you, if you feel this type of hardship, it's not the way you're supposed to go. And I think in this there is great truth. If you have chosen a way and it puts such intense hardship on you that you feel like you have to completely rip parts of you out of your being and cast them away, this is not the way you should be going. Definitely not. So let's have an example. I have come up with a very bad one, but I think I will just present it to you. It might be a bit fictional, but I think it gets the message across. So let's imagine we have a girl and she has the great dream to write a story. She has friends with connections, and so somehow she gets signed to a label by great surprise, or maybe has like a loose contract with the label. They dictate her story, she just writes it, and they promise to publish it. I don't know if that happens in real life, but let's just pretend it does. So she kind of has some set points of the story already fixed by this label, and she just has to make it her own. So she gets to work, she writes every day, she thinks, well, that is the opportunity of my life. I have to clench it and squeeze every little drop out of it, every little drop of essence. So she writes every day, she gives her all, she pours everything she has into this, but it's not what she truly wants to write. Like, it's a story already made up. It's not her story at all. She can identify with it, but it's not what truly pours out of her heart. And every time she writes, there's this contrast between what she envisioned writing would be like and what it is now in reality. And the longer she stays with it, the more it starts to rip her apart. She feels this split between what she really wants and what she's actually doing in life. And she feels very separate from herself in a way. So that is a hardship that we don't want. That is a hardship that is leading us away from where we actually wanted to go, even though it pretends as though it would bring us further along the way. So it's really not a good course to take. The second hardship is it feels more like a spring contracted by great force, just waiting for the moment to like explode and spring back and like leap forward miles. And like I said, it also takes force, and it's not comfortable. It still is hardship. It can still feel painful, very worrying. It can feel absolutely stressing for you and painful. But it feels like you're being compressed and you're just waiting for the explosion to happen. Like, it's just like this one last hurdle to overcome before something great happens, and you feel the tension in the air that is sparkling with new beginnings, like spring feels just before all the buds open up. There's this anticipation in it. It is a hardship that you're willing to take because you really feel what's next to this. It's very hard to kind of decipher between these two, but you will know it in your heart. You will know it in your heart. And I think this is the kind of heart that, this kind of CEO statement of, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you thing kind of thinks about. It's the hurdle you are willing to take because you know your goal is worth this small period of challenge. You know, your goal is worth doing all this, and you are not afraid to put in effort and work and all your blood and tears into what you truly burn for. Do you say that in English? Not sure. But what you're truly passionate for. So this is the type of heart that you can tolerate and that you want. You want to dedicate everything you have for the thing that you truly want in your life. So let's say this girl writing a story. She has now finally had enough of this. It has been just one day too much, one day too many. And she goes up to this label and she quits whatever contract they had. She says, I can't do this anymore. This is really not what I pictured this all would go. And she begins writing her very own story. And now it's easier than ever because it's like a new start and everything just pours into this story and she really does it. There are great hardships because she doesn't have this contract anymore. Maybe she loses a lot of money. There's great uncertainty in her life. Sometimes she doesn't know how to put food on her plate because she has to already work overtime to at least pay the rent for her flat, and this book is not making money yet. You know, it's just being written. And she has lost the support of the label, so there are no people at her hand that she can go to for help. She's all by herself, very challenging, very frustrating, and it stresses her out. But it doesn't feel like there's this tear at her soul is gone. Her heart is not suffocating, you know, it's open widely because she channels all this creative energy that she longed to put out, and really makes this story that is truly hers happen on this piece of paper. So her soul is very happy. It is just the worldly challenges that are worrying her and draining her a bit. But this is the type of hardship that she is willing to take. And this is the type of hardship that we all should be willing to take. But hardship that seems to destroy us from the inside out, this is not the type we want to tolerate. This is not what we want to do with our life. We want to follow our soul's purpose. And we don't do that by ignoring its calling and tearing it apart and silencing it, even though it tries to scream at us for a change. Yeah. Sometimes it can be very hard to courageously walk the path that you really want to walk, because it feels hard. The key is to always reconnect with your heart and with the calling of your soul. If this type of heart is a hurdle that is very exhausting to take, but it doesn't hurt your heart, it doesn't hurt your soul, it is just a hurdle to take. And you already see that behind this hurdle, the path opens up to something great, something that you truly want for your life and in your life. Whereas when whatever challenge you're facing is really ripping you apart, you almost seem to lose sight of what it is that you truly want. And this is when you know it's time for a change. It's time to reconnect with yourself and time to navigate into a new direction, a direction that this time hopefully will bring you where you really need to be. So I think this is a way more important choice between not the hardship of not doing it, or the hardship of doing it and having to put in the effort. It's much more important to choose, because hardship will occur. It's much more important to choose the hardship that is in line with you over the hardship that breaks you. Yeah. And I know this is very difficult to see in real life, and often it takes time, so I'm telling you, be gentle with yourself, but be honest with yourself, because you really feel when it's pulling on you. You really feel that. Do not put this burden on you. Do not put this burden on you. But also, do not drown your dream just because you're afraid of an effort you would have to take on your shoulders. It's not worth the sacrifice. It really isn't. And often, as soon as you take the action and just take the tiniest, smallest step towards this effort, it suddenly doesn't seem so big anymore. It suddenly seems quite small and trivial, actually. So, yeah. I guess what I want to say with this whole video is hardship is an integral part of life, and it is important for us to have. But what we really can influence is the way it serves us in our lives, by choosing which hardship we invite in our life and which hardships we do not. Sorry, that took a bit. Which hardships we do not accept, do not tolerate for us, because we know our worth, we know what our dreams are, and we know what the right path would look like for us. And we commit to that, and only that. I hope this video helped you. I hope it finds you in all the love that you need, and I hope that you have great support in your life. Know that you do, whether or not you can see it. Have a great time,